everyone, my name is Gloria Sims Crump and I'm the Queen of Real Estate and I own the Coastal Leaders Realty Group, and we appreciate you watching this week's episode of Teas and Crumpets. And today I have a special guest, Julie Sinkoski with the Coastal Land and Title in the Perdido Key, Florida and 30A. Y'all have an office in 30A as well.
Yes, great.
And she has been a closing agent with Coastal Land for now 4 years.
4 years. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Yes. So when we sell real estate, we obviously have title companies involved, and so that's where the closings happen. So she's going to give us a little bit of background on what is involved with title policies, what goes on with the closings, and so walk us through. So once you receive a purchase agreement, what happens?
Once you receive a contract or purchase agreement, we start a new file.
Mm-hmm.
We gather any necessary documents from official records, and we order a title search from our underwriter. We also contact realtors, buyers, and sellers because there's always additional information that we need for our file to help with the closing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Lots of details.
Yes. So what are the basic fees in Florida for the seller's costs as well as the buyers?
So fees in Florida are quite different from those in Alabama, and we're always happy to work a closing cost estimator net sheets for any agent that's looking to write an offer or create a listing agreement. Transfer tax in Florida on the deeds, also known as documentary tax, documentary stamp tax, it's $7 per 1,000. So if you have a $500,000 transaction, that's going to be about $3,500.
And it's more expensive in Florida.
It's much more expensive in Florida. Alabama is $1 per 1,000.
Wow.
So it's definitely different.
Yes.
It was shocking for me when I met too. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
In Florida, most contracts, they have that transfer tax as a seller expense. And so often we see the buyers take the cost of the owner's title policy and any fees that are associated with it. But lately, we see a lot of 50-50 split and seller paying. It really depends on the offer that's made. It's a negotiable.
Yeah, it is. And in the purchase agreements with Florida, if like the buyer chooses the title company, a lot of times that's when they have to pay certain fees. And if they leave it up to the seller, then the seller pays, but it is a lot more expensive in Florida.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And so a lot of times we might, our sellers can get reissue credits.
Yes.
And every little bit helps. So let us know about what's the reissue credit.
So a reissue credit is given if a seller has owned their property for less than 3 years and if they can provide a copy of their owner's title policy. It is a discounted rate on the premium for the owner's title policy, typically about 30%.
That's really good.
Yeah, it really helps a lot because those can get, costly. It's based off of the purchase price.
Oh yeah, well then that way it kind of shows that they've owned it for a short period of time. Do y'all have to search back? If they provide the owner policy, do y'all search past that too as well?
We do. We search up to 35 years or more, depending on what we have found in the chain of title. Thus,
Oh, okay.
So there can be searches that go back 45, 50 years. Whatever, well past, because we want to make sure that we know of any possible defects
in
the title, something that maybe wasn't cleared once that could come up. We want to close all those gaps.
Yes. So speaking of title defects, what are some title defects that could happen?
So it's a pretty wide variety of things that can come up, but we see some common issues when there's a deceased owner in the chain of title, or maybe even an encroachment on another property that is revealed from a survey.
Okay.
Probate is often required when somebody has passed away, and we can help sellers through that process if they need it. It can get kind of tedious and a bit tricky.
Sure.
Encroachments, those are taken on a case by case. Typically what happens is there's going to be a negotiation between the seller and the owner of the neighboring property, or between the buyer and the seller, to try and come up with a compensation in some way for the defect in the property.
So let's just say we have already closed on the property and the new owner has taken possession and a title defect has arisen. What happens at that point in time?
So if somebody challenges your title,
Mm-hmm.
the insurance underwriter, so not the title agent or agency
Okay.
Who did the closing, but the insurance underwriter, they're going to defend the title. They're going to pay title costs and loss of property value if there should be any,
Okay.
up until the value of the limit of your policy.
Gotcha.
And
that's the purchase price.
that's going to be your purchase price.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
The policy, you purchase it one time at closing, and
Mhm.
that's going to be for the life of
The ownership.
your ownership, and even past that, should your heirs take over the property. So if it goes to
Okay.
probate and one of your heirs get the property, it's
Mhm.
still covered under that policy.
Okay.
And
But the value of the property will always, in the eyes of that title insurance policy, be what the purchase price was.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
And I also want to add that your policy, what it really covers, there's so many things that can come up.
Yeah.
Actually, wills that aren't properly probated, forgery, unsatisfied claims that weren't found in records.
Oh yeah.
So your policy, it protects you from the prior rights of previous owners,
Oh good.
and also from like outstanding debts that a previous owner might have had.
Yeah, because when we're at closing, they'll ask the seller, have you done anything to this property that someone can file a lien
Yes.
on that you have not paid a mechanic's lien on?
Mhm.
And they have to sign a form that says, no, we have not, or no, there's no outstanding liens that are not of record.
Correct.
So that's kind of protecting the new owner coming in
Mhm.
case there should be something that the seller fibbed about. So, so the title insurance, that's very interesting about knowing that that policy is tied pretty much to the property with not just you, but if you were to, will it to your children, it goes with that until it's a new ownership.
Until ownership changes. So if
Like a deed
you
change.
sold it in a sale to your uncle, it would be a deed change. That new buyer would have to get a new policy.
Yes.
But if you passed away and that uncle received it as a result of a probate judgment,
Gotcha.
then it would continue on that same
Okay.
policy. There wouldn't be another one issued.
Okay. Well, that's good to know because I didn't realize that. I mean, I'm obviously not on the side of when there's unfortunate deaths and people or will, but I didn't realize that same policy would stay in effect. So, wow. Well, I've learned a lot. So that's interesting that it's 7 times more for the dock stamp.
It is. That's the big one where you're like, wow.
Oh yeah, it's very expensive selling in Florida. That and insurance and property taxes and
Yep.
yeah. So, well, I appreciate you coming and explaining, all this, and we're gonna have her contact information, and that way that if you have any questions and y'all are looking to sell in Florida, you can give her a call. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you so much
you.
for having me.
yes.